talked about, a aquatic center, indoor aquatic center. We cannot afford an indoor aquatic center. And it's just the plain facts. And I've talked to mayors all over the state who had those aquatic centers in their towns, and they're now closed, they're shut down. There are a few in the state, but they're in the big cities, not in the Andalusias of Alabama. They're in Huntsville, they're in Coleman. There was one in what's the little town right next door to Tuscaloosa? Northport. There was one in Northport, and I think it's closed now. To build a true indoor facility that would be attractive for swim meets and those kinds of things, you're talking about somewhere between $12 and $15 million. And then you're talking about another $1 million a year to maintain it and operate it. We don't have that kind of money. We just don't. And we're not ever gonna have it in my lifetime to spend on one thing for 100 kids. We just don't. And so we do want to improve our swim center, what we have now, and we're gonna make some improvements. But we can't build an indoor swimming facility. We just don't have it. I use this analogy. This didn't happen, but this is an analogy that I use to compare what we're talking about here. When I got to be 16 years old, I got my driver's license, and I ran up to my daddy. I said, "Daddy, I got my driver's license. I've been making good grades. I want a new Corvette." Because I was the best. He said, "Son, this family can't afford a Corvette. You're not gonna get a car till you go to college, and then it's gonna be probably a Volkswagen." And that's exactly what it was. But I didn't get it till I was a junior in college. And it had 36 horsepower and probably 136,000 miles on it. And I mean, that's what my family could afford. And it may sound silly, but to ask the city to spend $15 million on an indoor facility and then have the liability for maintaining it and operating it, it's just not doable. Can we make some improvements out there? Yes, we can, and we're working on that. And Andy's getting some stuff put together on that. We can make some improvements at our pool, but we can't build an indoor facility. That's just it. So, anybody want to comment on that, or from the council members, anything you want to add to or take away? Or?
You know, I think on the pool situation, I was appalled at the restroom facilities. We've got to do something about the restrooms. And it's just out-of-town people come, and it's deplorable. That place used to smell like the locker room when I was playing football.
Yes, sir. And you're right, and that's one of the things we've talking about doing is redoing all of that and making it as best we can. You know, public restrooms are the toughest thing we can deal with. People just don't pay any attention to what they're doing in there. And it becomes a mess and a real hurry. Now, we gotta pay more attention, which means we gotta put more people out there, which means you gotta hire some folks, which means that adds to the cost of doing all this stuff. Because it doesn't clean itself, you gotta have people clean it. But that needs to be done, and I agree with you. And Andy and I have already talked about it. That's number one on the agenda, is to get that place cleaned up.
Mayor, are we talking about improvements at Cooper Park? Or are we talking about maybe moving it to Johnson?
No, we're not gonna build a new pool. We're gonna keep what we got and try to improve it. There's some other things we want to talk about Johnson Park in a minute, but putting the pool way out there makes it really difficult for the kids. A lot of kids walk to the pool where it's located now. If you put it out there at Johnson Park, it would be made tough, for most of the kids that are walking out there to the pool now wouldn't be able to get there. It would take them an hour to walk there.
Is it possible to take the, area that's now dog park for parking?
You talking about across the street?
Yeah.
We could take part of that maybe as parking, or develop some other strategy on parking. That's a great piece of commercial property. And I'd hate to see it turn into a parking lot for a swimming pool that's only used two or 3 months out of the year. We've got some people that's interested in it, just like you said, possible development.
Well, I will say the events I've been to at the pool, parking is a tremendous issue.
Yeah.
So.
You know, there's a piece down there, down where the park is, where the parking place is now, behind the, service station. There's a pretty good little piece of property there. Maybe we can get used for parking. That's something we can look into. But parking's, it is a tough thing because it's a neighborhood. There's, there's houses all up and down the street, so there's not many places you can get to put a parking lot.
Well, I don't wanna put Darren on the spot, but,
I was meant to be a fly on the wall here.
All right, so if we can't do an aquatic, I mean, it is expensive, super expensive.
Yes.
What improvements to the current
I mean,
pool would you like to see?
I really didn't want to get into this here, but I mean, you guys probably know, you have reports of kids cutting themselves on the finishing of the pool. You know, there's something going on underneath. I don't know exactly what, but I mean, there's when it's empty, it buckles. The facilities themselves. Speaking about the kids walking in the neighborhood and that kind of stuff. Another part of the problem you have with the restrooms, with the pool itself, lights are at times ruined. Part of the problem you have is the fact that, I don't think it's a secret, I don't think it's just swim area that calls it this, but you have the dollar daycare that goes on there. Where these kids aren't supervised, they aren't anything, and you have 3 young teenagers trying to maintain them as lifeguards, which, you know, most of them are older than they are. So they're not comfortable with that type of position. So you do have that happening at that pool. But the big thing is just the condition of the pool. There's not enough area for us to truly have events, which I appreciate the mayor actually at least putting it to rest at this point, that it can't be done. You know, I appreciate that. But what can be done, there needs to be some serious maintenance done to that structure itself. It's over 40 years old. And there's been different reports just within the last year of kids cutting themselves on that thing. And there's certain danger aspects to it.
Yeah, I'm 100% behind improving the park.
Yes, sir.
And
It's got to
the
be.
area, clean it up, putting, if there's something dangerous, correcting that, those kinds of things, we can have a nice pool out there.
We also,
Operating the pool for kids that come without parents is a tough job. And you gotta hire somebody that's got a life, is a life, lifeguard. Certified. And kids now don't get certified lifeguard. They just don't. They used to have, you learn it Boy Scouts, or you learn it Girl, you know what, they don't do it anymore. So it's just difficult as a heck to find, people who are qualified, to supervise, children in an open pool like that.
And we do have pool managers out there, which are adults. Most of the time, they're coaches and people like that are off in the summer. So when things do happen, the teenage lifeguards, they don't have to necessarily handle the situation. It's up to the pool managers to take care of it. To address, if you don't mind, I'll address some of the.
Yes, sir, that's what we're here for.
That's aluminum liner pool. the paint you put on it, it does flake up after a while. We did have it x-rayed, and it's not necessarily hollow underneath it, you know.
Wait a minute, not necessarily, you mean.
It's not. When you let the water out of that aluminum, it becomes flexible. It doesn't hug the ground, it's aluminum, it heats up and it becomes, you know, flexible. It expands just per se. So it doesn't have anywhere to go but up, and that's why you have those little hollow sounding places in it. So there's no hollow parts up under it. So the things that, you know, we proposed is, number one, the filter house. That filter house is so old now that we have to build the filters to go in it, you know, and different things like that. You know, the pool house is just as old as the filter house. All that needs redoing, you know, 100%. A lot of the reasons is, you know, the cast iron plumbing in there, you know, the lack of P-traps and things like that, you know, that's why the smell comes back up in there.
Would this necessarily fix the water issue?
Yes, it would, it would. The water issue is, when we did all of our testing on it, the water issue is actually in the pump house. It's not inside the pool. As it circulates, those old big rusted pipes, you know, they're leaking, and the only way to fix it is to redo the whole thing and dig everything up and, you know, put the new pipes back to it. So that's part of the plan, if, you know, the council so choose. So,
Could I ask for you guys to consider one thing while you're looking into this whole plan with it? If it is feasible to set it up with heat, if it's reasonable to do so that it would be at a later date possible, or even a bubble put on it, where it could possibly be used in the future.
that I have not priced that
That's all
out,
I would ask.
you know.
Other than what you guys are talking about, that's all I would ask.
That's something we could
consider.
take a look at. So,
Mr. Mayor, in light of this particular part with the pool and everything, one of the items that I wanted to talk about, if you remember about 12 years ago, I believe, on the utility side, we did an assessment of our wastewater. We got people in that assessed everything about it. We've done that on the electrical side. We've been making steady improvements. If the power goes out in one area, it automatically switches. I would like to see us assess all of the city property, the pool, all of those, the buildings we own. We've got a lot of brick sidewalks, the brick pavers, and they're sunk, and they're hazards. And let's get a plan. We can't fix everything at one time, but we can, just like we did with the utilities. We put a plan together. We've now got our water tanks under regular maintenance. It's saving us money. Everything is in good shape. I'd like to see us do that on the city side.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing
Utilities.
here.
And I know we're talking about the pool, but let's include that, but look at the rest of the city property.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
come
the
up with.
the brick paper sidewalks in time sink.
Right.
And what has to happen is you gotta take a mug, put sand in there
Right.
and reset them. And it's not every square, but it's, you
Right.
know, every fourth or fifth floor.
Wherever water runs.
Wherever water gets in, right.
But if we do that, and we can put a cost to it, and we can put a plan together, just like we did on the utility side, to address
I think
the
so.
pool, and all the other city property.
Well, we'll have to do that to know how much money's gonna take
Right.
to do all that stuff. And then we gotta make choices of what we spend the
Right.
money on. But that's kind of the point of this, is to start putting those down, and then we'll start getting
Getting cost and.
cost estimates, and then that gives you some more information on which ones you can do and which ones you can't do.
What can we afford, and
Right.
then how can we work on some of it along and along?
Right.
So, I'd like to see us, you know, do that for all the city property.
So back to the pool. What you mentioned, we're looking into what it's gonna cost now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's part of what we got to find out, like he's talking about the pump house, that's an expensive
Yeah.
deal right there. But you gotta, if you're gonna have a pool, you gotta have a pump house, so we gotta do it.
I mean, we're looking at something like $1.2 million, $1.3 million for
Somewhere, yeah.
the filtration system, the liner, replace the liner, and the rehabbing the building.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea of what rehabbing the existing facility would be.
Does that include the pump house?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All the items that.
We're talking about $1.5 million is what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
You better put $1 million.
And that includes the bathroom?
Yes, sir.
The building,
Total
rehabbing the building,
renovation.
the bathhouse, we call it, concessions, all that, reline the pool and the filtration system. Basically, would essentially be a new pool in the same location.
Okay,